73 cents to 40 cents and fixed termination rates from 20 cents to 12 cents. The wholesale call termination was based on ineffective competition and, among other, inefficient pricing. Well, let's get this into layman's terms and let's talk about this, because this is for you and I. Nomvuyiso Batyi, Icasa acting chairperson, is in studio to unpack this all for us. Thank you. Thanks for being with us. It's good to have you in studio. Let's elaborate more on this. What does it mean for the general mobile user and the fixed line user? What does this really mean?
Okay. Thank you, Leanne. What it means, currently, the mobile termination rate is already at 40 cents. We slashed it as of last year. It is sitting at 40 cents. And then as of 1st March 2014, it will be at 20 cents. This is the charges that operators charge themselves. It's an inter-operator charge. That is a charge that MTN will charge to Vodacom or to any other licensee. The difference with this one is that we've introduced a second glide path, wherein the smaller operators, such as your Telkom Mobile, would be paid essentially 24 cents by the bigger operators. It's called an asymmetric rate. So for you as a consumer, it means when you are going to be making calls from a Telkom Mobile, your calls may be cheaper compared to someone who's making calls from the bigger operator networks. So that is what essentially it means.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on Vodacom and you're on Telkom. You phone me and it'll be cheaper for you to phone me than for me to phone you.
Not necessarily. Not because it depends on how they work their agreement. But for me, as a Telkom Mobile customer, it may be cheaper for me to call you, but Vodacom may elect to have a cheaper call for you, and at an on-net basis. We have what we call on-net calls, Vodacom to Vodacom, MTN to MTN. Those calls will be cheaper, and they may, which is what they've already alleged in the newspapers, that it might be more expensive for a Vodacom customer to call a smaller operator, like a small operator customer, which is a bit unfortunate if they are going to work their rates in that way.
Yeah. Why is it taking so long for something like this to come along? Because obviously this is, this is ineffective competition when one looks at it, and when you've got a playing field that is really not, it's not even.
I remember in South Africa, actually in business generally, there are people that have financial muscle that would challenge us legally and otherwise, so that it takes longer for such interventions to happen. Icasa started this process as early as 2008, and we finished the initial one in 2010. This is the second phase of it. It's an extensive consultation process, but of course, people want to keep the status quo. They like where they are, they like the profits that they're getting, so they do not, it's almost like a barrier to entry. And we are saying we want the Telkom Mobiles of this world to build their own infrastructure. People get good quality of service for their calls and data, which, as you would know, the smaller operators are currently suffering in South Africa. That if you're in a smaller operator, the quality is not that great. So we're saying, build your infrastructure. That's what we want to see as the regulator.
Yeah, indeed. And it'll be a huge benefit to the consumer. More indeed. Infrastructure, better data, bigger packages, cheaper for us. Have you heard back? Well, I know that you have heard back, but what's the next step for Vodacom and MTN? Where are they taking this now?
From what we've read in the newspapers is that there is a possible legal challenge, which is a bit unfortunate, because they are saying they don't agree with the rates, and we must show them what we've arrived at, how we arrived at the financial modeling. And we're saying we've consulted with you. Remember, our role as a regulator is not to agree with operators, but to regulate operators and show them that this is the cost. But they are challenging that. They're saying it's too much, it's too big of a cut. They can't take it. So that's the challenge that they want to take forward. Especially what we read in the newspapers. We haven't seen anything as of this morning. I checked. There is no, there's nothing that has come through in terms of that.
Okay, so you haven't been served with anything. There's nothing legal documentation that you've received except for what's been in the newspapers.
Yes.
Well, it'll be interesting to hear from Vodacom, MTN themselves. I think we invite them into the studio to see their perspective of all of this, and The smaller operators, of course, celebrating. Your Cell Cs, your telecom medias, this is what they of course, are wanting. All right, there's just no time. I want so much more to ask you, but we've unfortunately got to end the interview here. But thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks for clarifying what this means for the consumer. Nomvuyiso Batyi is Icasa's acting chairperson, talking to us about this ruling and, of course, the benefit to the consumer, you and I, is immense after this. All right, let's take a break.